Welcome into Pressbox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. And if it's Monday, it's time for some baseball talk with ex-Major League pitcher, left-hander Ross Grimsley. Tip your hat, Ross, so everybody knows who Ross Grimsley is.
Yeah.
And our other guest co-host on Monday evenings is former basketball player with the Philadelphia 76ers, Luke Jackson.
Also a struggling reliever with the San Francisco Giants as we speak.
All right, that sounds good. Good combination. Hey, I want to tell folks before we start talking baseball that we are brought to you in addition to the Costas Inn, and we'll talk a little bit about Costas Inn in about 15 minutes. But we are brought to you by the company that makes your home more energy efficient, kills all allergens and viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates. That company would be AJ Michaels. Turn to the experts, AJ Michaels and Carrier at ajmichaels.com. And we're also brought to you by the very fine new deli called Atman's Deli, that old name, you remember, but they're in a new location now in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different, a bar. Atman's has food and drink specials every day. They are now open, get a load of this, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar. And you could, if you're in the neighborhood of Harbor Point right now, you could say, hey, I'm going to go down now. Oriole game starts, Luke, right at 6:05.
So this week, 6:35, and then
Is tonight 6:35?
Well, they'll be watching this tomorrow. So
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
sorry.
Yeah. So 6:35 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:05 on Friday, and then 4:00 on Saturday.
All right, all those games watchable at. And by the way, I understand Saturday and Sunday against the Phillies are sold out.
And
okay?
Friday's getting close too.
Yeah. Atman's at Harbor Point is now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com. Guys, as we start tonight, and we're taping on Monday night, just before the Tampa Bay Rays host the Orioles in the getaway game on a wraparound series. There's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think Saturday was one of the most important games of the year in light of all the injury problems that the Orioles have had with their pitching staff, with Kyle Bradish having problems getting ready for the season. And we know what that was, a slight tear in his UCL. Then John Means took longer than we thought to get ready for the season. Now, after a couple starts, we've lost him for the season. We've lost Tyler Wells for the season. How important, Ross, was Kyle Bradish's appearance and performance on Saturday?
Big time. They've had some guys pitching wise that have taken up the slack.
Yeah,
those guys have the guys got hurt. Suarez has been a great a pickup, but the bullpen has been fantastic. Bradish comes back; it's going to ease up a little bit of the pen. He'll give some innings, but overall, I mean, these guys are third in Major League ERA.
Yeah,
they've give up I think the third fewest runs, if I'm not mistaken. Just so many positive things from the staff, and you got somebody's really the left-hander,
Kohler.
Yeah, Irvin's been fantastic, and Aiken has done a really good job coming in, and some of the games are blown out. He has saved the bullpen by coming through, and he's actually pitched some good when the game was on the line, and did some good things. So overall, Bradish is just a bonus to get him back. But these guys are really. I finally got the MLB package, so I can watch all the games now, and that's a bonus.
Right, that's right.
But they have been. It's just been really a treat to watch.
Did you save up all your payments from Pressbox over the last 4 years?
You know it, man.
You know it. Hey, Luke. All kidding aside, what scared me about Bradish, because you sort of corrected me before we went on the air because I wrote that he missed 3 or 4 days and it's 2 days. But the club was so tight-lipped about it, and I
Right.
understand that's Mike Elias's MO. Why couldn't they given the fans and Birdland the comfort of saying, "Hey, we're taking a 2-day pause just because we want a little tiny bit of a reset"? It had me thinking that the club was unsure if this wasn't some kind of return to a problem.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And he certainly didn't pitch on Saturday like there was any sort of problem. I
Yeah,
mean, he was electric. And he's up to I think 97, and he's got sinkers and cutters running each and every way. It's amazing how Rutschman will set up in the middle of the plate basically with a target right in the middle of the plate for that fastball, and it will run to either corner. It's kind of amazing. And he's got two nasty breaking balls as well. But I was also at his start against the Rays about 8 days ago
yeah.
on that
The
Saturday
two and two
game.
third innings.
Yeah, he got 8 outs, and he needed about 75 pitches to get those 8 outs, and he just didn't look quite right. And it was a laborious outing. Anytime you're throwing that many pitches to get that few outs, that's going to be that Ross, you could probably speak to this a lot better than me. You know, how much harder is that on an arm when you throw that many pitches to get 8 outs versus throwing that many pitches to get 15 outs?
Oh, really? I mean, a guy can throw 120 pitches in a game, and a guy that threw 75 will be taxed more because those 75 are maybe more pressure type pitches.
Right.
But yeah, that's exactly true. Getting through whatever how many innings, 3 or 4 innings with 75, 80 pitches. I mean, it seems like you're 3-1, 2-0,
Yep.
3-0 on everybody, and you gotta bounce back and make good pitches. And if you don't, you're gonna get tallywhacked again. So, but yeah, it just it can add up and really wear you down.
Well,
But staying to your yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell you one thing about Bradish. You take the outing against Tampa away, and Luke knows this because I wrote it. His last 13 innings, aside from those 2 and 2 thirds innings, teams have 1 hit in 13 innings. What's it, 19 strikeouts or 20 strikeouts?
Something like that, yeah.
It's 19 or 20 and 4 walks, but 1 hit over that time. What makes him so difficult to square up against, Ross?
He's got tremendous stuff, just like we've been talking about. I mean, you throw the ball for the middle of the plate. He's got such good stuff he can throw for the middle. The good chance it's not going to be there, but if it is, he's got just overpowering stuff. The ball moves both ways. He's got a couple different breaking balls. He's got arm speed, like we were talking about before the show. He's got the same arm speed on all his pitches, so it makes it even tougher for a hitter to you can guess a pitch. Now you got to guess the speed. So it's really tough. But his stuff and the same with Rodriguez.
Yeah.
They get by with stuff. Burns, he has to pitch a little bit more, but see, he has some pretty good movement on his breaking ball. But these guys have really good stuff, and when they are able to locate, that's going to be even better. It will be amazing. And then they learn to pitch a little bit more. They'll save pitches. They'll get deeper into games. I mean, there's so many good things that you can talk about. It's just unbelievable.
Luke, we've been watching. Now, Burns is a polished, finished product for the most part, but yet I haven't really seen that going deeper into games out of him. Although, did he go 7 last time out?
Yeah, I think he went 7 last time out, and after today, he's probably going to be top 5 in the major leagues in innings.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But
That's just the game, man.
But the other guys, like Grayson yesterday, looked fantastic, unhittable for 5 innings, and he just ran out of gas in the 6th inning.
Well, I give Tampa Bay credit too, because early in that game, even though they were piling up some punch outs, they were making him work deep in accounts, and and they did the same thing to Bradish last weekend in Baltimore, and they did the same thing to Suarez last weekend in Baltimore. That give them credit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to your point, Bradish and Rodriguez both have really, really good stuff this past weekend. And Tampa Bay's a nice place to pitch because the ball doesn't really carry that well to the power alleys and to center. It's a good pitcher's park. It always has been.
So
It's a
the
nice
Orioles,
team to pitch against too.
It is a nice team to pitch against with those three regulars, Diaz, Rosarena, Brandon Loud, not doing a whole lot.
yeah.
No, and the center fielder, Siri too.
He's an adventure, isn't he?
Oh gosh, the whole outfield is. I'm really surprised because I watch a lot of their games, and I'm really surprised at actually not where they're at in the standings. That's not a surprise at all for me. But it's like you said, it's an adventure in the outfield.
Uh, let's talk a little bit about the schedule that the Orioles are in. And this actually started with the Tampa series in Baltimore back on the 31st, June 1st, June 2nd. For the rest of the month, the Orioles had one off day, and that will take place next Monday, a week from today. Your thoughts about is even with Means and Wells down for the count? Is this with Suarez, Povich, Irvin, and the big three of Bradish, Burns, and Rodriguez? Ross, does it make sense to you to attempt a modified six-man rotation to give some a little extra rest for some of the people?
It's again, we talked about this. The schedule. They're playing some of the better teams, but they have the first 9 days of this month. They've done a pretty good job, and they have one of the best records against teams over 500. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's and you can give a guy a rest every now and then depending on the team and how they're pitching, how they're feeling. You can do that, but I think you start mixing some stuff up and changing some stuff just to do it, thinking if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Just keep doing what you're doing because they are really one of the top teams in the game.
Just so we alert everybody, the Orioles after the series with Tampa, they come home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday versus Atlanta, Philadelphia, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all three different times, 7:05 Friday, 4:05 Saturday, 1:35 on Sunday. Saturday and Sunday are sold out. Friday is near a sellout. And then we get that one off day. And then we face the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. And I think uh, all baseball fans, and especially in the two cities involved, have been waiting for this matchup again. We played them early in Baltimore. We played them in very late uh, April and early May, and it's been about 6 weeks, and we'll play them again. 3-game series, Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoon, and then we go to Houston, and then we come back and host Cleveland and Texas, and then finally we get another off day on July the 1st, and then of course the schedule lightens up a little bit with the All-Star break as well. How much are you looking forward, Ross, to Orioles Yankees?
Oh, that's they got Yankees got a 2.5 game lead on the O's, but I mean they've been playing very well, and the Orioles too. So it'll be really fun to watch that, and give you kind of an idea of where the O's are at. But again, they played so well, and they played so well against the better teams. So I mean, you're hoping for a split if you can get it. If you can take what is it, a 3-game series? I think you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Against the Yankees, it's a
win two
3-game
out of
series
three.
in the
If
Bronx.
you do that, I mean that will be great. But I mean, I tell you, I'm so impressed with this team. I'm so impressed with the people that see them, that talk about them. They just do so many things well, pitching wise, hitting, defense. I think they are just,
It's funny, not to interrupt you, Ross.
yeah.
2 years ago, you were talking about the people you knew in baseball, talking about what was in the minor leagues. And a lot of those players are the ones that are up now and doing things right It's
Yeah.
not really a surprise in a way, because you were pointing to this, that the last 2 to 3 seasons in the minors, the
Yeah.
prospects were learning to do things the right way.
They have a good program, it seems
Yeah.
like. And this is what people have told me, scouts that I know, Shane Turner,
Yep.
who was just here in Bradenton doing several of the different teams down here, but just watching them compared to other organizations and other teams, they do so many things fundamentally correct. They're on the field working on things baseball wise. Not some of this other Ricky Rack stuff that people do. It's just absolutely bizarre. But they're doing baseball things.
Is
They're doing
Ricky
things.
Rack stuff sort of like Tallywag?
Yeah, well, I was being nice. I want to say something else, but I couldn't.
Does it
Yeah,
does it start with a B and end with
Oh gosh, yeah, no.
Okay. All right. Hey, let me pay our last bill on the show and talk to you a little bit about the Costa Sin, and then we'll have a few more questions for our panel of Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson on this Monday edition of Press Box Live. The Costa Sin has been a loyal sponsor to me since all the way back in 1995. So, of course, it explains part of the reason why I talk nicely about them is because they pay me to. But I really wouldn't feel great talking about them in this way if the food wasn't so great. I've got 2 guys on that host this show with me, Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson. Just give me a thumbs up or down on the Costa Sin.
Oh, if I had another hand, I would give you another thumbs up.
That's 6 thumbs you got here.
Really?
All right. How many more thumbs do you need to not try out the Costa Sin for the first
Get my
time?
toes up there too. So.
Because seriously, in light of the bridge collapse, I'm not trying to be funny here. They've lost an awful lot of business of people that normally would drive over from Glen Burnie, Catonsville. So if you live near the Costa Sin and say, I don't like to go there, it's too crowded, or I've never been there because I always see it so crowded. I don't want to eat at a crab house, or I do want crabs. The Costa Sin is the answer for you. I'm telling you. So you got, let's see it again, guys. Luke, 6 thumbs up for the Costa Sin. All right. You can't get better than that. Only way to get better than that is if we had a guess that would make it 8 thumbs up. All right. The Costa Sin, located 4100 North Point Boulevard. Check it out on the web, thecostasin.com. And if you are planning a crab feast, call them at 410-477-1975 to reserve the size crabs you want, find out the price point and the availability. The Costa Sin. All right.
And I'm coming up next week. I'm coming up the 21st.
We're going to try and get together.
I got
Let's do it.
The Cool Kids Golf Tournament, Kenny Singleton's Cool Kids Golf Tournament. Till I think I'm supposed to leave the 25th, but I hope I can work sometime to go over there and get some crabs because I'm having a crab seizure.
You're dying.
Yes.
Right. By the way, one last thing. I heard the other night, I got a email from an old friend of mine in town in Baltimore. Some baseball people know Rick Straub. He's a coaching technique. He's a coach for catching technique. And he must have known Greg Arnold, the ex-Oriole prospect. I understand he's passed away at 79. And I spoke to Boog a little bit about him. It's funny, you didn't cross paths with him much because he never made it to the majors from 67 on. He was close. He was a pretty good pitching prospect, but he was supposed to be a tremendous character. Boog already was an established major leaguer, so didn't really know him well, but knew of him and said he made his living as like an Elvis impersonator.
Right.
I think he may have been one of the characters Ron Shelton,
Yes.
one of the characters in Bull Durham
Yes.
about. So our thoughts go out to all the friends and family of the late Greg Arnold, who passed away in the last week at the age of 79. Guys, let's look at one other thing. Luke, you and I know Ross has played big league ball, so he probably has a better handle on this. but you and I'll start texting each other, complaining about this player, that player. You know, I've added up over the last 3 or 4 weeks that Craig Kimbrell done. You know, I mean, I got this is calls I'm getting from friends, texts I'm getting from friends. Austin Hayes, ah, horrible, horrible. Can't hit anymore. He's a smart baseball fan. Cedric Mullins, he got old all of a sudden. He can't hit anymore. Got to get rid of him. Well, the last time I looked, Craig Kimbrell is doing pretty darn well since they stopped overusing him. And I think that's really the key to it. And that's why it's so key that some of these relief pitchers, I mean, these starters go a little longer in games. And what happened in Tampa, especially the other night, was they added on runs in a couple of the games where he didn't have to go to Cano and Kimbrell. He was able to use the lesser guys. But what about, Luke? I'm asking you, fandom in general. I wrote about it in my little thing, the opening to my power rankings. Maybe Oriole fans need to take a chill pill a little bit and just let it's okay to be critical, but maybe not make these finalities about player performance.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah,
And maybe baseball is prone to some overreactions because it's on every day
yep.
and you can sort of see players struggling every single day. And like
And if you lose a game because of the struggles of one player, seemingly,
right,
oh, we
right,
would have won that game if Mullins could have gotten that run on.
right. And it's like blaming Craig Kimbrell solely for losing a game that entering the ninth inning, you were up 2-1. Well,
Right,
you could have scored more than 2 runs. Also,
right.
you had 8 innings to score more, 8 or 9 innings to score more than 2 runs. So, yeah, I think that's also part of being a baseball fan.
Yep.
And as long as it doesn't get over the top, like tweeting at players or whatever,
Yeah.
I think it's probably fine. But you also want to enjoy the season, right? You want to take a deep breath. You got to let the season breathe. You got to let the season live a little bit. It's baseball. You can't really make any
But I
rash
think when you get,
judgments.
I think when you get into one of these pennant races, and I know it's not the same, Ross, that like when you had a pennant race, you had to be in first place at the end for it to really mean something. Uh, I think it's just so many games played and the pressure builds up. It's hard to fully enjoy a season unless you take that chill pill and let it unfold for you a little bit. Doesn't mean after a 2 week stretch of seeing somebody flame out that you can't say something. But all these proclamations, this guy's done, he's finished, burned out, he's toast. I just think it's a little too much.
They don't know. I'm a terrible fan, and I get on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called, and I with baseball, and I get into, and I rarely do. I do it some, but I do it when I see these dumbass comments some of these people make, and I'm going, I can't let that go by, and I have to say something, and blaming the man, blaming Hyde for this or
Right, right,
blaming Mullins and Hayes, and Hayes is hitting 400 for the month. Santander, it's another guy. Let's get his ass.
right.
He's hitting over 300. He went 5 dingers this month. I mean, this is a game of a lot of negatives and a lot of failures, and guys are going to go through it during the season.
You fail 2 times out of three,
Well,
and you're still having a 300 season.
yeah. I mean, it's and hopefully you obviously got people in a position in this organization that have done some good things to get them where they're at. So again, like you said, take a chill pill, sit back, enjoy the games.
I have one last question for both of you. Luke, if you had one person you could acquire right now, and if you're uncomfortable naming a name and just want to name a position, that's okay. And Ross, I'm going to ask you the same thing, and I'll chime in. Go ahead, Luke.
Well, I don't know if Houston is going to sell, But I think this guy would be Michael Elias's dream trade target, and he would also be my dream trade target, and that's Kyle Tucker. He has a year and a half remaining before hitting free agency. Michael Elias drafted him, I think, number 5 overall in 2015 when he was with the Astros. And if you look at the outfielders that the Orioles have drafted high, they look like physically, they look like carbon copies of Kyle Tucker. So I'm talking about guys like Kyle Stowers, Colton Cowser, Dylan Beavers. These are guys who are big
And
athletic,
Kierstead.
yeah, big, athletic, strong outfielders who can hit for a lot of power. The ball comes hot off their bat, et cetera, and they're kind of tall, lanky, strong guys.
And you think that's their biggest need is one more thumper in the lineup?
Well, that's certainly, and I'm saying this because for me, I'm trying to make a move to win a World Series.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trade for 2023 Jack Flaherty, right? I'm trying to make a move that and also can help them next year. But again, I don't know if Kyle Tucker is going to be available.
I don't think he is.
But
That's
if he
my
did become
opinion. But if he
available,
were, yeah,
that would be a dream trade target. Other potential needs like a hard throwing, bat missing back end reliever like a Ryan Helsley.
okay. You're shooting real high. You're asking
Yeah.
for 2 of the best players
Yeah.
in the game this year.
Yeah.
Ross, what about you?
I'm going pitching wise. I'm going for a starter. Get the best starter you can find, and if it means getting rid of some of your prospects, not every prospect is going to be a guy that's going to come to the big leagues and be a hit. It just doesn't work that often. I mean, we saw it with Holiday. Holiday's a good player, but you just don't know. Norby, you just don't know. But if you can get a starting pitcher that possibly you can tie up for a few years, so you win this year and you win next year, maybe the year before, I think that's a good thing. But you gotta make sure a guy that's healthy, that hadn't had any problems. I don't know who that is out there, but
Okay.
but I think another starting pitcher would really be a
What
key.
would be interesting, Ross, if the Orioles could pull off their version of like a Luis Castillo deal that Cincinnati, or excuse me, that Seattle did with Cincinnati, where they acquired a top of the rotation starter and they extended him immediately, or a couple years back to the Blue Jays and the Twins with the Jose Barrios deal, where shortly after that deal, the Blue Jays extended him and he's been awesome since then. It seems like anytime the Orioles face Barrios, the best they can do is like 6 innings and 2 runs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe some version of that deal would really help the Orioles because Burns is very likely going to walk after the season.
And
So
they may pay him. Who knows?
I'm not so sure of that, depending upon how he pitches. I think this ownership group is going to be pragmatic to a certain sense. I'm not saying they're going to not do what John Angelos talked about last year, but you won't hear them talking about it this year about raising prices, ridiculously high. I'm not so sure Burns is going to walk, but I'm going to go a little bit different route here. I'm going to wait a couple weeks on how Povich plays out, how Bradish's health is going, if Suarez continues. But I'll tell you one player that I've eyeballed for a couple weeks now. It's a relief pitcher who used to pitch for the Tampa Bay Rays, Rich Thompson, 6'7" guy that throws like a lot from the side. I think they need a dependable arm. And right now, I don't know what happened to Dylan Tate last year, but now we're a year and a half in, or a year and 40%, and he is not in my circle of trust right now. And I think they very much need somebody like that. And I think he'd be acquirable. Maybe it would be like a Stowers for him, but I think he's somebody affordable that you could keep for a couple of years. And I think he can help this team a lot. All right. That's going to do it, guys, for this week's program. All right. Next Monday, can we agree that we'll do next Tuesday?
we can do Tuesday, but it would have to be somewhat earlier because your
Like
boy has
4
softball.
Like 4 o'clock or
4 is with fine.
4 o'clock. We'll come back on the 18th because I'm getting back late the night of the 16th, Sunday night, from a destination wedding. And then we have plans for some people to come over here on Monday. So it's going to be, would be a big help to me. All right. For Luke Jackson, for Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan Charles. And as always, we want to thank the Costas Inn, the new Atman's Deli at Baltimore's Harbor Point. And we also want to thank our friends at AJ Michaels at ajmichaels.com. They're 3 great sponsors. And again, thumbs up for the Costas Inn. 6 thumbs up. All right. That's going to do it for today. And also for the new Atman's, 6 thumbs up for that. Ross even gave it the squiggly thumb.
The wiggly thumbs.
The wiggly thumbs. All right. I said squiggly. You say
Wiggly,
wiggly.
wiggly.
All right.
Squiggly, wiggly.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon. All right. Be good.